are dying. So what I was saying here is that in the issue of putting in place the regional elections, do you know, I was talking to one of the some government officials of the council elections somewhere around Mungo. I don't want to mention detailing. They lament on the issues. If I tell you the number of councils that have not paid salary arrears for over 6 months, it tells you that even the function of the council is a problem. When you come in place, budget of senators is moving. Parliamentarians, they are going. Councils themselves are finding it difficult. Even city councils are not finding it difficult. What people see the budget being voted is on paper. The practical budget of over 400,000 billion is still to be raised. These are budgets that are still on paper. So what I was saying is that when we come in the kind of meeting like that, they put in place regional election, as they say, will speed up decentralization. It's a mere distraction, because we will say it over and over that the present situation that is plaguing Cameroon now is not an issue of decentralization. As the head of state says, the head of the form of the state cannot be discussed. But it's taking us differently, and so there's no impact in that Council of Ministers meeting that we're talking about as we speak.
Let's find out from Ernest. What is your take on the announcement of putting in place, organizing regional elections in Cameroon to speed up decentralization?
Yeah, because to me, I think that the head of state is doing his job as the head of state, but he is not taking into consideration the priority of the masses. Because if you look around Cameroon today, most people are more concerned because power starts from the base. The councils are the most focused point to the masses. They have direct contact to the masses. So this is where we have to be focusing. There are crises in the country. So to me, I think that the president is trying to present himself positively internationally, and then nationally we achieve nothing.
Barrister, what's your take on that? Putting in place, organizing regional elections in this country this year, is that the appropriate time to do that?
For answering that question, you see, I cannot sit here and listen to certain things talking about the system in place of the government without reacting. You see, a council of ministers is not meant for discussions. The way it is meant for directives, which is just a short speech and come to know each other. The execution of whatever policy we have in this country is done through the Prime Minister, when the Prime Minister is going to hold his own council because don't forget, the Prime Minister now is the head of government and sits to manage the other ministers. And that is when you get the impact of whatever policy or directives you receive from the head of state. So let's not mix up issues. Secondly, wishful thinking is different from realistic thinking. You can't just sit down and say something has failed, or this man is right, or this man is wrong, without you yourself even telling us what you yourself have done to make certain things right, things well. You see, it's not because other people have been appointed or they are elected. Let's give them a chance to do their work. You can't, a Senate who has just been put in place, you can't be expecting anything from them just 1 year down the road. They have a mandate which has to be appreciated when the time comes. So when we say, look, I wish that, I'm very happy seeing young men getting interested in politics, because that's what the problem we had in this country. Young men were not interested. Now they are very much interested. Get in there. Try to sit on that seat of Senate, or try to sit on that seat of Parliament, or try to sit as a minister for you to understand that, look, managing a country is not that easy as you think. It is something which is very complex and complicated in such a way that it is difficult to make everybody happy. All you can do is to make the majority happy, to make sure that next time they vote their candidate. That's why I will say, look, despite all what we are saying, the CPDM with this president, they control 9%, 9/10 of the assembly, 9/10 of the Senate, 9/10 of the council. How else in democracy do you want to measure the impact of a policy? It's at that level. So if you think that you can do better, when the elections come in, challenge them and beat them to it. That's how we do it. Okay, coming back to organization of elections, the proposal to do regional elections, it is a constitutional issue because our constitution, all of us have been crying that since 1996, the implementation of the constitution has been very slow. Everybody is crying about it, even including us in the CPDM. Look, it has taken some time. But that notwithstanding, those things go with a lot of money. The first thing you shouted was money, 400 billion. You say they own money, money, money. Everything is money. If you don't have that money, you can't do it. And you have to know that to do it, you must have made allocations for that. And it is a state issue. It concerns you and me. It's not a child's play. So it has to be done with a lot of celebrity, a lot of care, and a lot of calculation. You see, we are shouting, crying foul, 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 that the regional councils are not being put in place. Now that they're about being put in place, the first thing I see people criticizing it. Meanwhile, it is something which is an obligation of the state to make sure we have regional councils. So I'm happy that at last, this council will be put in place. It doesn't matter how the government is going to operate, because with every builder is appreciated from the way the structure of the building has been put on the ground. That's what we appreciate.
Barrister, will permit Siri to react, but just to mention that this week a Mutation newspaper published this week indicating that 7 out of the 10 regions in the country have been affected by insecurity. It says the Adamawa, the North, the Far North, the East, the West, the Northwest, and the Southwest region of the country. 7 out of 10 regions of the country affected by insecurity. How do you think organizing elections can be practical in the country this year?
If there's insecurity, it means there can be security. All it takes is for you and me to collaborate with the forces of law and order for security to be a common knowledge, become common knowledge. You see, everybody thinks that security is only meant for the government. It's supposed to be done by the government. You and me are supposed to be part of it. It means all of us have failed. If we, in the population, will feel insecure and we don't take measures to bring in the security, it means we are part of the insecurity.
And the government that coordinates security in the entire country need to know that 7 regions have been affected. Therefore, there's a need to solve the security concern first.
No, you should understand that first of all, when they say 7 out of 10 are affected, it is journalistic speculation. I don't know what yardsticks the Mutation has been using to give that analysis. But I'm saying that what I know is that as of date, insecurity is a national issue. It doesn't involve only the government, it's you and me first. Because you are your neighbor's keeper.
Cyril, you are coming from the southwest region of the country. You know the level of security there. Is it good enough for a regional election to take place?
The law on the electoral code, that's why I was expecting Barrister to actually lay more emphasis, but he went.
Don't talk about me, talk about yourself,
Excuse
please.
Me. The regional election has 2 compartments. You have the election of chiefs, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, who will sit together and elect their representative at the regional assembly. Then you have divisional election that will elect their delegates. That is how it goes. Take, for example, Southwest with 6 divisions. It's only Fako that is accessible as of now. Even Mehmet, that was next suit. Today you have traffic that is flowing, and tomorrow you have interrupted traffic. And so, Dominic, what we should say and tell televiewers today is that, for me personally, I welcome so much this announcement of regional election, because frustrated age person who have been in politics for long and because of the irregularity of election have not been able to vie in for any position are obstructing young people like me to aspire. You want to believe that there is a total threat in the Southwest that has not even dare aspire to be the mayor, which is not normal. And so I want to believe that if more and more of this election, as prescribed by the decentralization law of 1996, are being put in place, definitely it will absorb some of these old people who have been in politics for long and have not heard their voice, have not made their voice heard. Shortly from that again, I'm worried about the insecurity set in the Southwest. Will it be the same scenario that happened during the senatorial election of March 2018, where we saw a municipal councillor being flew through the airplane to another region to go and vote, to cast their vote? How much money do we have at our disposal at the plane, at the point where the Minister of Finance recently was declaring that we still have external as well as internal debts unpaid? And so I don't see that we have enough money to actually sponsor this election. In the same time, Dominic, that is what I want to learn. I want to pray with all my wish that the federal people of Northwest and Southwest should open their mind once at a time. Because if we keep dragging things at any time the president comes up with a discussion or with a way forward, we keep dragging things. We will never weigh our way out of this crisis. I was talking with my friend this morning that it's easy to judge politicians. It's easy to judge political decisions, but when they put you there, you will understand how difficult it is to be a politician, because to decide for a diverse group of people like Cameroonians is not easy.
So what is the point? Are you in support of the decisions of the president?
That is why I told you, Dominic, that I'm in support, but I regret that insecurity issue and financially we might not be able to make it effective for the people.
Time for Elvis. There have been this big question. Many are asking if the Council of Ministers meeting is a necessity or a mere formality.
That's a good question. I see it's, well, it will depend on the convener of that Council of Ministers. Because now, when we talk about mere necessity or formality, it will depend, it's relative, depending on who is analyzing it. If I'm analyzing it, I will say that it's no news to me now. Why? Because the burning issues on the ground is not whether regional elections should hold or not. It's the security situation for me, because I am on the ground. Probably the head of state who sits up there sees it as a priority to hold those kind of meetings. And so when we come together generally, I think there are times I said we need to be looking at the realities, because this is not political, it is simply political analysis. Now, if we went in for presidential election and it was marred with irregularities, especially in the northwest and southwest, which we agree, figures were placed, we had fictitious figures raised by the government and its agents of the elections. Very clear. It tells us that we should be able to learn again that for regional elections coming in, first, following the mutation reports on 7 regions of insecurity, and that was even hot now as I speak. I was supposed to go there, I'm even afraid taking that stretch of road, Beto Garwabulai. Now, it tells you that things are going to be hotter again. Therefore, looking at an election that has to do with grassroots oriented, it is going to be another way difficult. My brother here just made mention of analyzing how it's going to look like. You know, chiefs coming in, first class, second class, third class, and then delegates from the subdivisions.
Most of them are out.
You get a point. And most of them are not even in the place. They are resident out of the northwest and southwest. So when you come to look at it detailing, I am analyzing it with that fear of favor that regional elections will be a sham. It will not be representative of the way it's supposed to be. Now, I disagree a little bit with Barrister, who said earlier that we have been clamoring for regional elections, and now they have come and we are still complaining. Yes, political decisions matter at the time in which they are to be implemented. This have been drawn, this regional election since 1996 has drawn up to today. What delayed all this while? Why must it come in the heart of the crisis? There is a hidden agenda of the government which is not very clear to me. It's the way I'm analyzing it. So I think that for the elections to take place, security situations must be addressed first. If you want it to be free and fair. If not, we will enter a kangaroo election with kangaroo results that will give us kangaroo effects on the ground in the name of democracy.
We just listen to Giles speaking there that they need the fact that they are bringing a regional election this year means perhaps the government has a hidden agenda. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that, because any 8 out of 10 Cameroonians today will tell you that they want Cameroon to, first of all, take control of the crisis that is affecting the citizens. First, every 8 out of 10 Cameroonians, that is what they will tell you in the field. I'm in the field, I've been working with them all over. I know that this is, when there is crisis, you can't go to talk anything without looking at what, if there is a barrier, if there is this door that we have to leave to get access to life, then the door is blocked. No matter what we do here, it's useless. Because I believe, even when you look at the councils of ministers and whatsoever has been discussed there, when you look at ministers, how many new ministers are there? Okay, for the new ministers that came in, what time was given to give them more focus on their duty and all the rest? Nothing. So when we are talking about, I just said there is, my own way of looking at it objectively is that we have a crisis that is taking us internationally. And most of the things that is happening now, we have to understand that politicians are making it look their own way. But we know that at the level of at the national level, the government must protect his or her interests within and without. And so internationally, they want to make us think that we are moving as per the constitution. The reality on the ground shows nothing as such.
Barrister, many people have suspected the president of the country to give firm instructions on how to stop insecurity first by the government of Joseph Dangote, rather than other things, that we go not really to address the security situation, but talk about other things that are not really in connection to the security situation. We talk about a mutation newspaper that is indicating 7 out of 10 regions in total insecurity. What do you think the government of the president, the instruction he has given to the new government to tackle security concerns?
You know, the state is like a train that has the locomotive, the main with the engine. Now the engine, the first command was the engine that forms the engine that is moving. It doesn't go by in reverse; it goes forward. As it is going, there are persons that get into the locomotives, and there are persons that get out. As it is moving, there are certain locomotives that fall out and are replaced, but the state has to keep going. Look, insecurity is not a condition to stop the functioning of a state. If you understand the way these things go, insecurity is created because the population wants it to be created. As I told you, insecurity. Let me tell you something. Let me learn. As I told you, my neighbor is your keeper. Not even the military. The military or the police or the forces of law and order come in afterwards. Insecurity, first of all, is an issue of neighborhood. First of all, and we are making as if the guarantee of security is supposed to be one-sided. That is the government and not you and me. It has to do with you and me first before it goes that way. Because let me tell you something. The day thieves attack you, it is only a neighbor that can call the security, the forces of law and order to come to your home. The forces of law and order cannot be in every home to secure every place every time. It's not possible. From the number of people, it's not possible.
Allow that the state to protect the citizens.
The constitution has never said because of insecurity they to stop the state from functioning. The organs will continue functioning. Let me tell you something. When the head of state came last time and said, when Yaoundé is alive, the country is living. It is realistic. What I talk about, that's realistic thinking. Because you see, what we wish and what happens, there are two different things. Check out wherever you have wars in this world. The wars are going on, but the state is functioning. What do you like it or the state will continue to function?
Is it a plus or minus?
No.
Why are the leaders there when they can't really protect the citizens?
So what I say is that you go for elections. If you don't go for elections, the situation will be as it is. If you think that you are strong enough and capable of changing it, go for elections. The guys who are there are doing their best. They are doing what they can do, but it's not for you. You, the public, you say, look, are they doing the best? Are they doing what is good enough for you and me? And the only way you can think about changing it is through the ballot box.
But you just mentioned there that the security is going on because the population wants it.
Yeah, of course.
No,
of course. We are part of it. We want it to continue.
Thanks, Dominic, for posting that question directly to me. I will look at Barrister and tell him that we are almost done with this regime. It's a matter of time.
Oh yeah.
So when they look at you, they lie. You saw the way they rigged a presidential election. They use the bloodshed in Northwest and Southwest to rig election, my God in heaven. And here he's telling us that the people are accomplices to this. It means that there's a conspiracy theory in the Northwest and Southwest to make the insecurity issue to be prolonged. I will say no to that. I've been in the Southwest now for so long. And I'm very, very active. You will check me on social media, you will know what I'm talking about. And so I've seen my own business collapse. If I'm coming to Douala today or to this other side of the Mungo, and it is my militant that are contributing money to pay me transport, you should know that the economy is down. And when I listen to Barrister speak like this, my heart is crying.
It should bleed.
I'm shedding tears.
It should bleed.
Because if you see...
When you say go start lock your shop, what is that?
The people...
You accept it.
The peace-loving people
go start lock your shop.
It's Northwest and Southwest are trapped inside a kind of canker-one war between the pro-independence fighter. Because remember, separatists is an ideology. I call them Amberlander because they have the right to their ideology. I'm a federalist.
Using the gun, right?
I'm a federalist. I almost took gun, Mr.
Take it first.
Yes, no,
Please
understand that.
Explain your point.
Yes, I'm trying to explain to tell him that it is an ideology. And when you get stigmatizing them, just like we did in the 1950s, when we were talking of Marquisas, those are the same thing, revolution. So when revolution comes in, those who are the incumbent, those who are managing the state affair, they always look for stigmatizing names to baptize them with. So what we call separatists today, they are actually Amberlanders. And so the population are trapped between those forefront soldiers of the Amberlanders and the forefront soldiers of the government. And so we are terrorized. That means people stay in their house out of fear. Some people stay out of support, but the majority stay out of fear. And how do the government take consideration of those who are sitting, because they are the silent majority? How does the government, take their plight into consideration? That is what we are calling on Mr. Biabo to start addressing. I'm not saying that we are conspiring with them. It's not true.
Time for Elvis. Many people expected the Council of Ministers at this week to focus on security. Do you think the fact that that was not touched, directly by the president of the country is out of place?
It's a very pertinent question you are asking. Probably I cue from where Barrister just ended, and then I get to your own question without wasting most of your time. I get so worried when I hear Barrister says the insecurity. I just accuses the population of being part of the insecurity. Generally, I've said people say most of these things because they don't live where we live. That's why I keep on saying that we who get into the areas where the things are, who live with the people, we understand the place, who also experience it. His business has crumbled. I have been caught in crossfire several times. I know what I'm talking about. So what I was saying is that when a person sits on media and says the insecurity has been blamed on the population, security can be blamed on the population when things are normal, not when things are abnormal. When a state decides to shoot at its citizens, who decides to move now for self-defense, which have never been planned, which have never been part and parcel of their agenda, we should not make statements that gets people more wild in the bushes. That's why I said that the CPDM and President Paul Biya's regime is a regime that gives cheeky statements that cause people to go wild and now attempt terrorists. These statements are quite important. A soft statement can calm down a purported terrorist and let him even lay down his arms. But once you use the iron fist, when you cannot control him, that is where we find ourselves today. And so looking at the present situation, Barrister rightly said, or wrongly said here, that we should determine our position in leadership by going for elections. When he knows that it's a kangaroo system, whereby before elections are convened, the results and those to be in those elections are already determined. Let's not be deceiving Cameroonians in this honest media of now our time. In those people have been deceived. There are a lot of people who are watching us now, who know that if I decide I want to go in for elections in an area where Barrister is, he has the might, financial wise, the state has the mechanism. Complex. They work with, no, it's not complex. These are realities. The state works with a crooked mechanism. And that's why I said the state determines who stays where they're supposed to be. And that's the most why it takes the courageous youth, as we are talking here, to say that, okay, since it has not been going that way, we are going to hit hard than before. But to sit and say that on a mere election platform, as Barrister puts it in a smooth going manner, you can determine, you can be in power. When we are fighting to unseat this old regime, and the regime tells us that come for election, then they rig the election and tells you they are in power. It's not democracy in this country as we speak.
Time 5, let's find out from Ernest. Time 5 is just mentioning there about how before an election is announced, winner is already known. So why are opposition political parties, despite the fact that they know they are, 7 out of the 10 regions is insecure, no credible election can take place, they still go in for elections? Why are they doing that?
Because they don't go in for the purpose of creating impact to the society.
They're just going in for
it because they
fancy.
Most of them are allies to the CPDM. Because if actually you know that this system
just like his party, right?
Imagine that I am from a division where since 2018 no office is operating, no administrative office.
That's the BLM division?
Yes. No, the citizens there have been displaced, and you come on air because you are addicted to a particular party, you make statements that doesn't reflect any reality on the ground. That doesn't sound matured, and in fact it doesn't define you and your party so well.
Let me find out from you. You are clamoring that before elections are announced, the results are not. So why are opposition parties still going in for elections, knowing fully well that the playing ground, the political playing ground, is not level?
In the digital economy, people who matters are those who act. Those who are silent are forgotten. And so if you want to be part of the political landscape in Cameroon today, my brother, do something, but not sit quiet. Bet you, the senatorial election was better.
Sitting quiet is doing something.
No, you call that doing something, but to this regime, they have so many ways they can silence you, rubbish you, and you know, the fourth estate, which are the media houses, we are reduced because of financial means. And so if the government doesn't pump in money to talk about something, or if somebody cannot pay for you to talk about him, the person is finished. I'm telling you, their political party, I will not give them the honor to publicize them here, but there are so many of them that have just been silent like that, and it will be difficult for them to surface again. I wanted to point out something. The senatorial election run by Babali, the former general manager, whether it's Elekam boss, Director General, was far more better than the one running today by Eric Esuse and his friend Eno Egbe. Because this two guy in 1996, when then this guy who is lavishing in Konengi prison, he was the former Secretary General of the presidency. Yeah, no, not that one. The guy from Marafa Amidu Yaya. They worked together to rig election. And it's not for nothing that Babali was removed when the CPDN lost election in Bamenda. So when we are crying, even with the Elekam, the court are not. Can you imagine that at 18 years, young people cannot vote, of which at that very age they are called to work in the civil service. These are some of the irregularities. We are calling for a consensus electoral code first. Then secondly, let the Director General of Elekam be an elected official, not nominated, as well as the Constitutional Council. These are little things we want to be put together, and that is why we feature. I want to now land by answering to my brother. No, we are not in any ally with the government. We are not. Sincerely, we are not.
But that's what the civil society think. The fact that the political playing ground is not level, you still go in for elections, it means you are in line with the government.
That is why I want to borrow from what Barrister said in the beginning, that it's easy to stigmatize politicians. It's very easy. But when you get in, you understand that it's a struggle that needs that you should be there to understand the stakes. Because civil society, they advocate, but they don't understand the stakes. And they are in another way fulfilling the agenda of the incumbents. Because if you receive international donation from the partners of the government, you are part of the government. So, in an extent, if we start stigmatizing one another, we'll forget about the people. The fight here is to be relevant. That's the first thing. Let the people know that you exist. Then, secondly, there's a peaceful change. It's possible. We must keep hoping, like Nelson Mandela said. If we forget about hope, then the future is blurred.
Let's get to Barrister. Barrister, if the election finally holds with the insecurity we have, do you think the regional council will operate to the benefit of the people?
You see, once they've been elected, if it goes through, they have to do their best to operate to the benefit of people. You see, nobody is a tool is like a train. The state machinery is like a train. It keeps going.
We have regions that have been deserted. Most of the elites are IDPs today. So when we put in these regional councils, do you think people will still have? How will they generate resources in order to run this?
The first and foremost, Cameroon is a free country. You have a right to stay wherever you like and operate in that place wherever you are. You see, if you agree with me, people are running away. Why? Who is keeping the security for them? You will say that. Please, young man, be orderly.
Go ahead.
Please, we are on national TV.
No.
I'm talking. That's how I talk.
Yes,
please, you have to wait for your turn. Yep. You have to learn. You see, that's what I'm saying, that this politics you see like that. You guys are getting into it. You have to learn. It is a process. It will take you some time to understand some of these things. It will take you some time. But that notwithstanding, the state is a machine that goes. As I tell you, some jump out, some jump in. Locomotives fall out. They bring in new ones and so on and so on. That's how it goes on. Cameroon is a free country in the sense that you can now decide to leave Douala, go and live in Kuseri, and live your life there and adapt and adjust the situation, and life goes on. Those who don't participate in the empty chair politics is of yesteryears. If you decide that, okay, Campbell, for example, should be empty, Ondop should be empty, and nothing happens, you will not have councillors, you will not have anything. So when the stakes or the sharing of the national cake is involved, you will be left out. Because you have decided that, okay, I don't want any councillors here, I don't want any parliamentarians, I don't want whatever. Let it be like that. It will stay in the bush. And when you stay in the bush, who do you think will come and clear it for you?
But that is insecurity.
Those guys who
for
have
their lives.
No, let me tell you.
Going to the It's not voluntarily that you want
I've lived in areas, countries that have had wars than this. I've told you that we are still in the supporting. The real war is going to come. And when it comes, you understand in the sense that I will have my own militia, you have your own, you have your own, to protect your own self. Because, let me tell you, I won't say it, security starts from you. It doesn't start from a third party. Even if it's the government, it starts from you. I said, we are accomplices to these guys. Why? Your business has fallen. Yes, they say go down, you lock up. You don't protect your interest. You think that the government, only the government can come and do it for you. I say the government cannot be everywhere, every time, all the time. It's not possible. So it starts from you and your people. I've known places in Anglophone Cameroon where people have their own militias now to protect themselves. It is not like it's starting. It has started and it's going to continue because that is just a consequence of insecurity.
Does it mean government have lost control in the protecting the people?
Government never loses control over everything.
When you say let me tell you, people that are from militia to protect themselves, means that government have lost control.
Has lost.
Let me tell you something. Do you know that the amount of security agencies in this country are more than the soldiers we have? You know how many people they employ? Just to tell you that security is not an issue only of government. It's you and me first.
But they are still being regulated by the government.
No, it's regulation.
Yes.
But
it's different from militia.
No, it's regulation, which is something else. And the application of regulation to is something else. I have the right to protect my property and my own kind. I have the right. You can't stop me. The only thing is that if everybody has the right to carry a gun, for example, but you need a regulation to authorize, you need some law, you need some documents to have to carry a gun. I can carry my own gun, you carry your own. So the day you come to attack me, you shoot, I shoot. And it's going to be like that because it is war. And whether you like it or not, as I tell, I will say it and I always repeat it. If the population wants it to stop, tomorrow it will stop. If the population wants it to continue, they will stay silent, they don't participate, or they allow it to go on because they want it to be that way.
Time for Evis, what is your reaction to the statement of Barrister?
The first thing I should be able to chip in, Barrister knows, is that when you look at the 1996 Constitution, the functions of the head of state, it's written the head of state is the guarantor of peace and security of the nation. First things first. Before then, there was peace. Now, there is no peace. It tells that something went wrong somewhere. The head of state and his government failed in their duties. And it's in this same chicken manner that people talk as if things are easy going. They talk as if blames can just be apportioned left to right. When the head of an institution is doing his job well, you find the effect going right down the grassroots. When the head of the institution fails in his duties, you see the impact and the consequences going down the road. And you cannot ask the man down the road that he is the cause when you yourself fail to address the issues when they started at the early stage. I said earlier that with the intelligence nature of the state, looking at the structure of the state in its governance, the head of state knows what is transpiring right down. And if he wills it, he knows how to bring it to an end. So what am I saying here? In the issue of all we're saying here, I think that Cameroonians watching us know exactly where the point lies. We are only talking because they are quite intelligent. So what we're saying here is that in the aspect of peace, like Barrister was accusing him, like you lock your shop and all the like, there are circumstances that will permit him to lock his shop. And what is that? Insecurity. We are boiling all around insecurity. Let us not be babbling here.
Even where we
yes,
are now.
Even where we are not secured. So in the midst of crisis,
Secured.
if Barrister has a business in Boya, for example, Barrister cannot open that business now. That's the bitter truth.
I'm a lawyer, I'm not a businessman, please.
No, I'm saying, I'm just commenting. Yeah. You understand? If Barrister were a businessman in Boya and still came to the CPDM, he will not open his shop.
I will get my own militia.
You understand?
And ready, and get ready.
Now, so if you look at it critically, what I'm saying here is that when a government fails, the aspect of security companies are regulated by the government. You understand? And they check their excesses. But as of now, when militia groups, like he said, if he's there, he'll get his militia group. Your militia group will not be validated by the government. It will not be authorized by the government. If you're getting a militia group to protect your shop,
my security,
it will not go. So in that case, when you get a militia group, it means that you are acting illegally because the security system of the nation has failed. And therefore, you are forced to recruit some guys along the somewhere to protect your properties and yourself. It means that security has failed. So we should be honest to these things. The state has failed in implementing security, in maintaining security in the northern and southern region. Therefore, any move, we should learn from lessons. Elections failed. Elections were kangaroo elections, rigged by the government in northern and southwest with fake results put in place. I'm afraid the same scenario will come in for regional elections, where chiefs will stay in Yaoundé and they make elections in Yaoundé and say they are from Diam, they are from Manu, they are from Meme. This would not be reflecting the genuine essence of regional elections as it is supposed to be.
And thank you very much, Cyril. How frequent will you expect the